The week of October 7th, 2024 marked a year of ongoing demonstrations led by student organizers in support of Palestinian liberation. One demonstration in particular made the efforts of student organizers undeniably visible. In May of 2024, over 100 people, including students and faculty, participated in support of a student-led demonstration, the People's University Student Encampment for Palestine.
It was first and foremost to be in solidarity with the students and people of Palestine and adding to the long list of schools that had encampments. And then of course it's to meet our demands, meet the 5 demands that we had listed out. And I also think to educate people who didn't know a lot about the Palestinian movement.
With Welshfield covered by roughly 50 tents by the second day of the encampment protest, organizing efforts for Palestinian liberation became more accessible for the USF community to engage with than ever before.
It's so in your face. Like when we have an encampment, you can't just walk by and not be curious about what's going on and just become more educated on not even just Palestine but other places that are suffering right now too.
My intention was to show my support for my peers who are also out there sleeping, show my support for the Palestinian people, also the people of Congo, Tiger, Haiti, and also just to show USF that the students care.
I slept there a few nights. Usually with these types of situations, I feel like you kind of have to protest and take to the streets to be heard.
I actually had a tent. It was a professor tent at the encampment with the students, just supporting with getting materials, getting food. We're all kind of there with shared purpose. Honoring that it's a student-led movement is really important. But I also think that faculty, at least the ones that I have been in solidarity with through the Educators for Justice in Palestine, we're still doing a lot of work with statements, with petitions, with uplifting and getting other faculty to be in shared struggle as well. I think one of my takeaways is just being very mindful, understanding that everybody has a contribution and it will look different.
My name is Rainee and I am a part of leadership with USFCA Students for Palestine. We've been organizing since October, last year of October.
I was on sabbatical last year, but I kept abreast of things, and it was exciting to see the students getting involved. For me, it was nice to see, because when I was both an undergraduate and a grad student, I was very involved in the campaign for boycotts, divestment, and sanctions against apartheid South Africa, and so I could identify with that kind of campaign. Though I didn't necessarily agree with every single demand that the students put forward, it was good to see that people were able to make the connection between a conflict that was far away and something close at home, including the university's investment policies.
One of the efforts that we've been able to secure through our encampment was the establishment of a representative from our People's University to have a seat on the task force, the Socially Responsible Investment Task Force. And that seat did go to me. And yeah, so far we've been meeting every month with the Board of Trustees. So they were able to provide us with a portfolio of investments that our university holds. And we have the research committee that is going to be working on really diving deep into what these investments are funding.
Increased visibility became an invitation for involvement, as well as a risk factor for consequential action from the USF administration. As many students heavily involved with organizing the demonstration remain on disciplinary probation over the course of this academic year, myself included, the question on many minds are, what can we expect from student protests, and what can we expect from admin?
I just want to see more opportunities to engage with each other. EJP continues to organize. The students are as well, but I would love to see what can it look like for us to have more intentional space to build relationships with each other, to build trust. So I think I would love to see what will it look like for us to have more clarity on those shared things that we can do, while also organizing in the ways that we're organizing separately, and then in between time coming together and building relationship, having political education together, just being more intentional about building that trust.
Well, I was in a committee
that was on like the 5th floor of the UC, and they were protesting some offices towards the back of the 5th floor.
We're outside the UC Center, but they're not letting in the organizers. We are trying to pressure them to disclose and divest.
And yes, that's like, yes, you should be asking for that, but I don't understand what like the dean of student life is. I don't understand how they have control over that. Besides like tell their higher ups, but I feel like at that point the higher ups definitely knew about what was going on with the encampment and what they wanted. And in addition, there was a resolution passed by ASUSF to divest from these said like companies. I feel we should be more like mindful with who we are protesting, because I feel like if you do that, like you don't get that many more shots at that before they're like, okay, we need to shut this down because they're disrupting just campus. So I feel like if you are going to do said sit-ins and said like active protests outside of people's office, it needs to be the people with the power to follow through with the goals that you want.
Because we can't always be fiery. I think I love the sayings of like, it's not about what you say, it's how you say it. And it's like, we're uncomfortable as USF students on this campus in so many different ways. And it is our job to make administration uncomfortable. But it is on the administration job, or at least whoever job, to help us navigate those conversations so that it's not just an endless argument about nothing, but it's a fruitful conversation.
I mean, certainly professors in the classroom should maintain their professional demeanor, but as members of the university community, I believe we, just as much as anybody else, should be willing to speak out on political issues, both domestically and internationally, and particularly as they might relate to university policies such as investment. I really want to underscore to student activists today is don't underestimate your power to create change.
The Palestinians on the ground, they call on us, the students, to continue to escalate. Right now, we invite students to come and organize with us and continue to politicize ourselves. We want to continue to build that trust within the community.
That whole piece around relationships can make or break a movement. And so I've been thinking deeply about what it means to have like healing-centered organizing spaces where we are getting ahead of conflict. It's also an invitation to do things differently and to think more deeply together. So I don't want to speak about it as though it's a negative thing, but I do think that it's irresponsible when it's not addressed.
From the belly of the beast.